Mm.
We gotta get the actual audio, dude. That should be like the intro to our actual.
You might want to watch it again because not all of you. You're not gonna. Okay, using.
Oh no! We can't use all of it. I definitely freak. I've watched that movie enough to know that. Cool. So hey, welcome to our first episode, guys. The HighLevel Experience. My name is Andrew Kamide, and I'm with my co-host Mitt Muller, and our first guest, Sergio Leon. He is my co-founder in Chat HQ. He's my CTO, and he is a all-around fantastic software engineer and business expert. So figured the first episode would be great to have him on. A little bit about Sergio before we get into some questions and things like that. He came over from Cuba. How long ago, Sergio? 6 years ago? 7 years ago?
It's gonna be 8 years.
8 years, yeah. And so when I first met Sergio, I did not know, like at all, that he was just recently moved here from Cuba. Like his English was perfect, like everything, right? So it's like when you told me that, I was blown away. So grew up in Cuba, learned software engineering in Cuba, came to the States, and has been, designing, building, and running a agency and small business in Miami with his other co-founders. Great human being, fantastic person, my brother in arms, Sergio Leon. So we're glad to have him on here as our first guest.
Damn. Thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah, man. Yeah, dude. All right, so we'll jump right into it. Let me pull up my questions for you here, man. So one thing, me and Vitt were kind of talking about this. We wanted to throw you off a little bit with the first question. So,
Okay.
So the question is, what are some perspectives or opinions you have about business, software development, or life in general that you feel are contrarian perspectives or like opinions that go against the status quo? So just in general, right? Doesn't have to be about high level, just business, software, and life in general, just to feel like you're going against the grain. Like most people would not agree with you.
I've actually been thinking about this lately. And this might not be super contrarian, might not be a super hot take. But people from my parents' generation, for example, grew up thinking, hey, just work is something you go do because you have to get money to then go do the things that you want to do. Right. And that's something that I deeply disagree with. For a couple of reasons. One, recent history and millennial culture and Gen Z culture has proven that. Can I swear in here? Is it okay?
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
Go for your life, right?
That's very fucked up, right? So thinking like that is very fucked up. It's a disservice to people, to yourself, if you do that to yourself, but also if you do that to your employees, it's a disservice to your employees, and it's a disservice to the company itself. People are more productive, and people are more, let's say, better members of society when they're happy and they're fulfilled. So,
for sure.
So
100%.
Here's the TLDR on it, I guess. Go do something you enjoy, that you can make a living off of. If there's nothing you enjoy that you can make a living off of, find a new hobby first that you can monetize, instead of going and working on something that a place or a culture or a company that you hate just to get money to be able to go do the things you enjoy. Do it the other way around. It's going to be way better for you long term.
Yeah. Or, I mean, go into it with a goal. Like so many people get stuck. I think that's the biggest thing, right? It's like, oh, I'm just going to work here because I can make money and I can go out, like party on the weekends or after work or something like that. But you end up getting stuck in a career for 20 years and then you're screwed. Like go into it and say, I'm out in 2 years. Like I have a goal. I'm going to make this money.
Yeah.
I have this in mind, and then GTFO, right?
Right.
So I totally agree with that.
Yeah, that's a good point actually, because you may not know like what you were like now, and then later on you actually do figure out what you want to do, but then you can't do it because you don't have money. Then just do the career thing for 2 years, even though you might not like it, but like make those money, and then you can do what you love. Or if you're like feeling like a total loser, and you're like, I don't know. I don't fucking love anything. I just sit at home and just play computer games. Well, guess what? Just do that.
There's a
Make money
career
playing
now.
computer
Make
games.
money playing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in your brain, right? There's a couple hormones that regulate brain activity and cognitive processes, right? Two big ones. You've got dopamine and you've got serotonin, right? So this is something that I've been on a discovery journey recently with, because I got diagnosed with ADHD and autism at, I don't know, 32 years old, right? So it's been a trip. It's been a trip. And it sent me down a couple rabbit holes studying and learning about it. Turns out the things that give you immediate gratification that people constantly chase after, dopamine is responsible for that. And your brain's ability to generate and consume and route dopamine plays a big role on it, but the effects are very fleeting. Serotonin, on the other hand, is more associated with longer term happiness and fulfillment. So um sometimes you go and you put yourself through a bad situation or a tough situation, or you go with a goal mindset and you say, I'm just gonna power through and because it's worth it in the end. But if you do it the other way around and you play with the dopamine and you put yourself in positions that give you dopamine hits in a controlled manner, you don't want to become a slave to it. Uh, or you could and then talk to Red Bull and you might make money. create
There's a hobby
create
that
the
turns
Red
into a
Bull,
career
right?
right there.
But the point is, engineer immediate gratification, short term gratification to get you the long way. So combine both immediate gratification and short term rewards for yourself in the things that you're doing. That only works if you enjoy what you're doing short term, so that you can
Mhm.
go the long way and build value and build wealth, and build
So
relationships or whatever your long term goals are.
yeah, that's an interesting take too, because I struggle with depression and I'm on like I'm not on an SSRI. So SSRI is for serotonin. I'm on a RD something NDRI or something like that. So it's like one of the intro drugs that they give you. I had some I went through a divorce last year, so they gave me some of this. But I looked it up and I never realized that it was for dopamine. And so
Mm.
now that you talk about that, it gives me more insight. Like maybe I'm doing myself a disservice by going the dopamine route. I didn't even know I was going the dopamine route with the depression drug instead of trying to build up my serotonin, because the dopamine is, like you said, is very fleeting. So maybe part of what I'm feeling and part of what brings me back to that is the feeling of like the release and then the downfall, like the release and then the come down almost, right? So that's interesting. I'm gonna look into that more. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, this is full disclaimer. I am not a neuroscientist. I am not a licensed. I'm not licensed to practice medicine in the US. So this is my
Yeah.
own experience. Take it with a grain of salt. Um, you need both. You
Oh
need
yeah.
healthy levels of dopamine throughout your day. But you also need to be working towards something that is long
Mhm.
term, more permanent.
Yep.
Um, that could be, that can carry you when dopamine is not there. Right.
Yep.
So
Right.
so dopamine
That's
for the short term, use it as a way to get you to be more effective building the long term thing.
And I
that
think
makes
this is
sense.
a really good segue into what this podcast is about, right? Like we're all business owners here and running business, I mean, fuck, can be really
It
tough gig sometimes,
hard.
right? So this is how you get through it. Feel good about what you do, so you enjoy doing it, so you actually perform better. But B, when you're actually talking to prospective clients and you're excited about what you do, it's addictive. They feel it. It's like, dude, like I want to work with you because it looks like fuck. You're like if I have you in my corner, I'm gonna do well.
Mhm.
Exactly. If people when you're talking to people, when people see you having a good time at it, they're gonna wanna work with you for they can wanna work with you for many reasons, but this is gonna be another one. If they see you having a good time at it, they're gonna think that they're gonna have a good time at it. So
Yeah. One thing I do have a bit of a problem with, which I have to continuously to self-manage myself, is that is I love this shit so much, and when I mean this shit, I mean like high level, building stuff, automations. Not just for my business, but I get excited about when I speak to small business owners and they've got this issue and like trying to work out how I help them. And I oftentimes like perfect example today. I was supposed to do a 15 minutes onboarding call, right? Turn into a 90 minutes one because I was just excited. And the dude had some issues. He couldn't move his database from another platform that was like locking him out. I'm like, fuck them, bro. Let's just do well, we can just webhook it out. And I was just over delivering and I felt good. But then after that, I was like, I got to put my business head on. This is not, this
Yeah.
is not scalable.
Most people will tell you like cut the calls to 15, 30 minutes, like save your own time, like get straight to the point. And I've never been good at that. Like Sergio knows, like I'll get off a call and I'll be exhausted. And I'll be like, dude, I just stayed on a call for 2 hours and I was just go over and over, like question after question after question, like thing after thing. And it's because we're passionate about it. But at the
yeah,
same time, it's a very bad thing to do long term because then we're just putting ourselves in an emotional like vacuum. Like we are
Absolutely.
draining ourselves of all that energy, right?
And that's the downside, right? The upside is that the whoever that person is that you've just helped, like they would be like, I'm sticking around. But hopefully you don't
Yeah.
have to train them up and explain, look, this is probably not gonna be like that every
Kind of a
time, but
CTA on the back end, It's like if they love it so much, here, click here, sign up.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
boundaries for
Cool, man.
sure, right? I've experienced that myself, but I've
Mm,
also
Yeah.
experienced that when you go above and beyond for somebody, um, you've made an ally and you've made you've gained somebody who's going to be rooting for you because they know they have you on their corner, right? So
Yeah.
you know,
I will say the caveat to that though, Serge, is like that works for certain types of people. So people like us
for sure.
that recognize that. And the only reason I say is because when I was in the agency space, well, I still am, but like when I was only doing agency stuff, not Jet HQ, um, I had customers who that's all I did was go above and beyond, like too much. I was making good money from them, but the money was for the things I was delivering. And then I would over deliver and I would be available at no matter what time they called or texted, right? And the problem is that they don't value that as much as you think they do. And they drop you as soon as you
Mhm.
become an issue, or they think that they can't afford you or something like that. Whereas in the space that we're kind of now Chat HQ, I feel like it's a little different because there's this understanding, especially from high level SaaS companies, they know how hard it is to then turn around and go, I'm going to run a SaaS company. So when like they see me and you on a call, I've heard this like, oh my God, I get on a call with the CEO. Like, yeah, there's no one else to do it. Like, it's not special to me, but it is to other people. Right. So
Right.
that's like, you can feel that respect or that, appreciation, right? And people like take that
Um,
way further when they understand what you're doing and how you're going above and beyond for them, right?
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
the caveat I guess I would put is make it sustainable, right? Go
Yeah.
above and beyond when it is possible, when it is not hurting something else. As when we started building ChatSU, it was just you and I. We have a
Yeah.
team now, so we now have the ability to delegate some things and focus more, be more customer focused. That's not always going to be like that, especially if you're starting out. Like if you're starting out a SaaS agency, um, and you're going it solo, it's gonna be tough for a while, right?
Mhm.
Um, I would definitely recommend getting a co-founder because accountability, but also cheering each other up is a big part of making it sustainable. And then just scale at your own pace where it makes sense. Um, but whenever you can, whenever it's possible, going above and beyond builds stickiness and builds loyalty with customers. That
Mm.
that's my experience, and not just
Yeah.
in ChatGPT, at in my agency as well, right?
Yeah. 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 It's funny that you said get a co-founder because I brought that up in the Rep Stack podcast that I did,
Mm,
and he clipped it and he put it on his reels because I mentioned you and I mentioned how like if you don't have someone that you can that you feel like family with, right? You don't like there's like an intimate relationship between co-founders, and if you don't have that, problems are huge. Like you can't solve problems easier. You can't communicate easily. You can't like take
Right.
things from an idea to like an actual like physical product or something that you create easily because you're just saying, "Hey, I want you. Like you're cool or like you're someone I can like build things with. Like come here. Let's go build the company." Like it doesn't work like that, right?
Right.
Like me and Vit starting this podcast because at high level up, we're like, dude, we've been talking this entire time. We're like friends and we feel the vibes and we can definitely do this. It's not like he just looked across the crowd and saw the tallest dude and was like, "Hey, come on, let's do a podcast." Right.
Yeah.
So
I
I could,
still Yeah, I still remember that moment. That was actually funny. We're in the foyer amongst all the other vendors, right? And that was like 2 days in since we like got to meet each other like at the bar the day before or something like that. And I was like talking to you, and you were like, "Hey, have you listened to this podcast?" And like it was the Lenny's podcast, right?
Letty's
Oh yeah.
podcast. Yeah.
And then I was trying to like show you like my podcast that I actually have podcast too, and like like trying to pitch my thing is like, and you were like, "Oh yeah, that's cool." And then, "Oh wait, is that your podcast?" I'm like, "Yeah, man."
Well, dude, so I saw the episode. I like saw some sort of promotion of the Sean episode with Sean Clark, and I just never knew you. We never met before, and so I was looking at that when you said success inspired. I'm like, Vit. I was like, dude, he's got the same name as you, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's you. Like it
I
didn't look
remember.
like you in the picture.
I
Yeah.
remember that.
So
Yeah. Yeah. That was funny.
And what happened then?
uh,
5 seconds later, remember,
I
dude, we
don't,
should do
but
podcast together.
oh right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we
I
just
don't know,
we
like,
went we
what was the
just went off
segue
of
into
that.
it? I think the segue into it was like either me or you were talking about like high level, like we're all really wired into this stuff, and seemed like we're both passionate about high level and building shit. And I think I mentioned like, yeah, it'd be really cool to have a podcast specific. Oh yeah, that's right, that's right. Because I was saying, yeah, this is an old podcast. I've done 70 episodes, but it's kind of broad. Whilst
Mhm.
I like it, I haven't released an episode for a while. But I'm looking to do. It wouldn't be awesome like if there was a podcast like really specific for the community. And then I think you said, "Fuck, let's do it together."
Let's just do it. Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
here we are.
amazing, guys. I mean, for me, this is ultra amazing because I've never been to US, and the whole trip to Dallas, and full transparency here, at the beginning of the year, I had about, I don't know, 10K in my bank account, like on my company's bank account. I'm struggling with some cash flow and just sort of kicking in. But I bought the bullet, bought accommodation, flight, the whole lot. So straight away 5K down, right? And and I and I remember that story, the Jim Carrey story when he was starting out as an actor and he wrote himself a check to 1 million, like
Mhm.
when, right?
Mhm.
I kind of like that analogy, so I was like, well, I can't really afford. I mean, I can afford it, but it's not a smart thing to do. I should probably keep it in and reinvest in ads and stuff. But at the same token, I was like, you know what? If I do this now, the universe is an amazing thing, and awesome shit will just happen. And it did. Like I went to Dallas, never been to US. It's been amazing. I met so many great people. We hang out straight. I think it was Sunday. We went out to Terry's Blacks for barbecue. All
Mhm.
three of us, the rest of the bunch, and yeah, it's been really good.
Yeah, man. So that this is a great a culmination of events, right? So
Mm.
but hey, Sergio, I got a few more questions for you here. And by the way, guys, if you listen to this, we do get off topic quite a bit, just because that's going to be the format of this show. The reason it's called the High Level Experience, shout out to Joe Rogan, is because we love the way that Joe Rogan runs his podcast. There's questions, but it's a conversation, right? So we do. You're going to hear questions, you're going to hear segments, you're going to hear topics, but we do get off topic and we rant and we, you know, branch off and things like that. So we'll try to pull it back in to the format as much as possible. But if we end up talking about something for an hour and it's really, really cool and interesting, we'll just go with it. But on that note, Sergio, what about high level originally grabbed your attention? Was there something specific, like
Yeah.
or a problem that you were trying to solve that brought
This
you
is
into high
gonna be
level?
funny.
Okay.
The API.
Yeah.
So I was running Facebook ads and doing some automation for a customer, and he bought HighLevel, or he was trying to use HighLevel, and he was like, "Hey, you're an engineer. Can you figure this out? Can you make the Facebook um, lead form ads just go into HighLevel, and then can we integrate it with this software that we're using, Vonage? I don't know if you're familiar. Um, for
Vonage,
dialing
yep.
out. Yeah. Um, and he
Great
was like,
commercials, by the way.
yeah, there's an integration with it now. Can you go figure it out? And I started looking into it. Uh, it was really simple setting it up, but then I figured out, hey, they have an API, and there's a lot of things that we could do here. And immediately something flipped in my head, because we at the agency, we had been using, oh my God, so many different things before. And I was like, this is great. This is something that I can deploy right away. That's gonna replace a bunch of software that we're using. And because it has an API, I can actually build a migration path. It doesn't have to be just start using this and quit doing all the other software right away. There's actually a way for me to build an on ramp for it for my team, which are mostly non-technical at the agency. Right. So it was the API. It was the API that hooked me. And then the next aha moment for me was realizing that there was the ability to add custom JavaScript and custom CSS. Because then that just opened up the door to so many other
Yeah.
integrations and
Yeah.
customization inside of HighLevel. I was like, heck yeah.
Yeah. It's funny
So
that that's such a double-edged sword, that custom JavaScript,
yeah.
right? Like
Hmm.
they opened up the floodgates and then they're like, oh man, we really shouldn't have done that. So many security risks. And then now they're going to the marketplace and,
Yeah. There's there's a
cool, man.
there's a big reason we haven't done it in ChatSU exactly the way that HighLevel did it. Because
Yeah.
yes, it is freaking awesome, but it is a double-edged sword. It comes with a lot of risks, and once you open those floodgates, there's no going back.
Yeah. Cool,
That's
man.
interesting.
That was a good question.
Yeah, thanks. So what's your favorite feature right now in high level?
Mm. It's not as much a feature as like my favorite recent development is high level realizing that the extension builder community or the integrations community has grown so much that they now need to make API and integrations and a developer ecosystem a first party thing. And that doesn't mean just for people who are building applications that integrate with HighLevel, like we are, but also for larger agencies that have more demanding customers or who have integrations with software that is entrenched in customer spaces.
Mm,
It has never been easier to combat customer objections of the sort of, no, but we're using MindBody, or we're using so and so, so
Right.
we're not gonna move away, right? It's never been easier to be able to say, yes, Mr. Customer, Mrs. Customer, don't worry, we have a full path for integrating with external systems. You don't have to give up on the things that you're doing. We can create a non-ramp for you, and you can use our platform or our services where it makes sense without having to give up on the things that you're doing. So that creates
Yeah.
a
That's huge.
yeah, that creates a path for agencies to become increasingly embedded and sticky in their customers' business without having their customers have to quit cold turkey on the software and
Wh-
the processes that they're currently.
Yeah, which is what software should be. I mean, like if you think about software in general, it's like integrations are the lifeblood of software, right? Try
Mhm.
the connecting the dots, no matter if it's like 3 dots or 300 dots, right? And so when I was in my agency, and I'll vet if you had any experience with this, but I went through exactly what Sergio was talking about, where it's like, oh, well, we use this. Oh, why fuck? Let me try to figure out how to connect it because this was 4 years ago when HighLevel was, I've been using HighLevel for 5 years now since they moved from law offices to marketing agencies, right? Um, and so like trying to fucking connect the dots it's like, how do you do that? You just don't,
Right.
right? It's like
Yeah.
now it's easier than ever. Like Sergio said, it's great. Yeah. Cool. So what, yeah, go ahead.
I was
What's
just
up?
gonna add my 2 cents to it. I think that's really important to be able to do that. I mean, I'm not super technical on that front when it comes to APIs. I've not done zero work on that front, but I get the idea and being able to um, provide the customer with a solution that does, and that's a big one, that doesn't disrupt the current operations, right? Because that's
Yeah.
one of the worst things that can happen to any business when you have a sudden change with a lot of things at once, because that's ugly. That's fucking
Mhm.
chaos, right?
Yeah, they usually go back. They revert. It's like fight or flight, right? They usually fall away and go back to what they're used to, what they're comfortable. It's
Mm,
like the comfort zone thing, right? What worked
yeah.
for them before.
Yeah. So there's a big opportunity in helping even inside of America, right? Just America. There's a big opportunity in helping small businesses and traditional businesses move to a digital process or a digital like online processes. It's amazing how many local businesses are not using digital technology at all in 2023. That's mind blowing. It's amazing how
Yeah.
many businesses are still using pen and paper and have this massive overhead of human labor and analog systems and processes. Um,
Yeah.
so the big
Dude,
opportunity
that's crazy
there
that's
is
crazy
rapid.
that you brought that up though. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. I'm sorry. I got a very
Yeah,
exciting
so
thing. I was just dreaming about this last night, so I'll say it afterwards. It's
there,
insane that you brought that up. Go ahead.
there's a massive opportunity in enabling digital transformation for local businesses in 2023
Yeah.
and the US, because that's where I am, but also in the rest of the world. If you look at Latin America, if you look at Africa, if you look at Southeast Asia, um, and Eastern Europe, right? There's so many opportunities to enable digital transformation for businesses who have not had a digital presence before, or who are still using like old school methods. Um, it's huge. The problem is you're not going to be successful in helping a traditional quote unquote legacy business become a digital first business if your onboarding path or your on ramp causes disruption in the way that they're doing things right now.
Mhm.
Yeah, as an expert, you need to be the bridge builder. If you don't build the bridge, like they don't want to build the bridge and they don't want to go over the bridge until it's built,
Yep.
right? If you can't do that, then they're going to be like, well, first of all, what's taking so long? Why is the bridge taking forever to be built? And second of all, if it's not built, I'm not going to jump, right? I want to walk over this bridge. I'm not going to swim. I'm not going to get wet. I want to walk over this bridge. So the dream I had last night, it was like, it's weird because it was like a dream, but it was like I was half awake because I was thinking about work. Um, but Serge, me and you are starting a SaaS, right?
Mhm.
Well,
Yes.
other than Chat HQ, right? We're gonna do a high level SaaS, so we're gonna help our customers at Chat HQ or our high level customers. We're gonna, obviously prove some concepts and things like that, running Chat HQ through high level SaaS. But I was thinking about my dad's business. So my dad runs a pool company, pool construction company in Chicago, and my God, it is the most paper. Uh, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Like reliant,
Intense? Yeah.
paper reliant fucking business I've ever seen. Files and cabinets of files. And so I was just
Mhm.
thinking with high levels new file upload stuff, right?
Yeah.
That all these businesses that are local businesses can start to actually translate, literally just scan. You have Adobe Scan on your phone, so you scan and process documentation into contact records into high level and
Yeah.
start to organize that in a way that is like completely different than what they're used to. And I don't know why I was thinking about like what niche we should go into and all this other stuff, right? But then I was thinking about that with my dad's company. I was like, just imagine like an office with no file cabinets. Like obviously my office has no file cabinets, but like a business that runs, I mean, he does he used to do like 5 million a year in pools, like very small business, right? Not a huge pool company. But he's the only owner, right? So
Mm.
small business, but I mean, fuck, 6 file cabinets, like tall 6-foot file cabinets, right? Huge. And
Case
then
in point,
boxes on
that
boxes on boxes on top
yeah,
of, like a ceiling left, like a stack or like a shelf from
Yep.
years
All it
past,
takes is light the match, mate. Light the match, make a
Like
point.
the yeah. Well, you get the insurance money, it'd probably stop going to work, which would be nice, but
I
yeah.
was gonna just say this. I mean, I've been making a list. Like, I really love the idea, like foot in the door, foot in the door. Like, what is
Mhm.
really good, low hanging fruit, foot in the door services, right? Recently, I've been like really loving the conversation AI. This is a really good one. I have never heard of anybody about that one. It's literally like, who's your
Document
niche?
management system.
It's my niche is fucking dinosaurs, and my foot in the door is
There you go.
Dinosaurs.
digitizing their documentation into a CRM pipe and
So,
linking up with everyone's against contacts, right?
yeah, we call them dinosaurs, right? But when you approach them, you gotta say legacy
Oh,
businesses, like Sergio said. Give 'em a little fluff, give 'em a little pat on the back, like, "You're a
Waterfall
legacy
legacy.
business.
Old school.
It's
Old school.
okay.
All
Old
yes,
caps.
school."
100%. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Look, and
Yeah. I like that, dude.
I've got all the love for legacy businesses. It's a hard
Yeah.
gig.
I love
Um,
dinosaurs, man. I shit. No, I'm just kidding. Okay,
Yeah.
so hey, so there's two questions left, man. Then we'll jump into the segment.
Okay.
So what are you looking forward to most in the future releases of High Level, and why?
Hmm. Well, there's a few things that high level has touted that were interesting to me. So last year, not this year, last year, they said they were giving us the ability to add multi-branding, like multiple different agency brands to the web platform, which would be freaking amazing because then that would let you build a front end for different types of niches and have people buy and log in and be in brand. That didn't happen for the entire year, and I don't know that they're still working on that, but that they haven't said that they're killing it. So that would be amazing. Um, and then the ability to bridge experiences from outside high level in a more native way is something that I'm really looking forward to. So the way that they let us do that today is with iframes. So you can go and build something outside, or you can go and buy like white label another platform, build another platform, use open source software. You can bring it into high level as an iframe. So that's already possible today. It's been possible for a while. We now have some tools to make that experience better. But what's coming is actually the ability to bring things into high level as a platform that are gonna actually be native to the platform. So I'm
Right.
talking widgets and sections for the funnel builder, and I'm talking widgets for the dashboard, and I'm talking bringing entire new pages that sit within the application, someplace in the application that are not iframes that have full native integration with high level. I
For
think
example, Chat HQ, right? Like building the ability to add a Chat HQ widget or an element in as a funnel element, like drag and drop it
yeah,
in, things like
but
that. Yeah, yeah.
but not just that. So this they announced this thing, which is an idea still, um, during Level Up Summit, and but they're calling it the high level cloud platform. And what that
mm,
means, or what that's supposed to mean, is the same way that you go, for example, to Bubble.io, and Bubble.io gives you a platform and it gives you building blocks, and then you can build something on top of it that is unique to you because you went and you found a problem out there in the market that people are happy to pay money for, and then you build it. So that's kind of, or WordPress. Like you can stand up a WordPress and install a few plugins and build something custom on it. You can do this in many other platforms, by the way. Just those two are notable ones. But the point is, high level's becoming more of that base level platform, and that's where they're going with API first, and that's where they're going with native integrations, and that's where they're going with expanding the surface of hooks and incoming webhooks and outgoing webhooks and the ability to bring experiences in the platform. So I'm really excited for that because one, that means it's going to be easier for us to provide a top level user experience for our users, but also that's going to make high level into something that people can go and actually build a SaaS business that is not necessarily marketing related on.
Mm.
Right.
You just brought a really interesting point, and that is, us, all of us, right, using high level. It's we've got this amazing community. There's 52,000 at the current date, and we all using the same software. In a way, we are in competition, but the community is friendly. But what I've been seeing a lot is, some sort of a do it on price, which is just, a downhill race, doesn't work. Now, what you're talking about here is this. I mean, there's already a lot of opportunities how you can have uniqueness in what you deliver, and like how you build your unique, selling point with the software, and like with little stacking on other the technology onto it. But with this, that just opens it up even further. So the amount of possibilities to have a unique selling point as a software company is
Mhm.
just gonna like expand. So just to, if you guys are listening and in your head you just like looking at how do I differentiate, and you just keep on thinking the base high level, and that is okay, I'm just going to differentiate on pricing. Like, forget about pricing. You need
Yeah.
to think, bigger, and you need to think premium. Don't right? I mean, don't play that pricing game. It's just downhill battle. Doesn't work for you. It's not going to work for you. It's not going to work for customer. You're going to have a business that is just pain in the ass to run. There's not enough profit
Mhm.
margin. Anyway, just a bit of a rant there.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, yeah, yeah,
No, it
yeah.
makes sense,
I mean, you're
man.
right. So what this switch or this shift in the way that high level is building towards API first and becoming an actual platform does is it reduces the barrier to entry for all of us who already are embedded in the platform to go and build something custom, something that nobody else has. And then the only barrier between you and success is going to be how well can you go out into the market, find a bad enough problem that a large amount of people have that are willing to pay for it, right? Which is business and product configuration, product creation 101. You need to find a problem. You need to find the people who are willing to pay for it. And then you give them a solution. Traditionally,
Right.
you would have gone and if you're an engineer like myself, you would have gone and spent, I don't know how much time, it depends on what you're doing, or you would have hired an engineer or a development agency, or you would have gone to a co-founder who's an engineer and build it. And that has a lot that any of those routes would have been a lot of upfront investment in time, in money. Um, High level becoming a cloud platform would will give people the ability, marketing agencies the ability to reduce the amount of investment that they have to do up front. So you get the best of both worlds: custom, bespoke, enterprise ready delivery for business solutions at a fraction of the cost that it would have taken to build something from scratch. So I'm
Yeah,
pretty
I think even without the cloud platform, that's something that you really need to understand as a business owner, like, especially when you're building software.
Mhm.
You don't build and then find your customer, right? That's how you fail. Like, me and you, Serge, I mean, I've done plenty of training under like Dan about this, and he's a huge advocate for this, where it's like, dude, build something in PowerPoint. Just put slides together. Like,
Yeah.
it's like going out and handing out like a piece of paper and saying, "Would you guys buy something like this? Like, would you buy something like this?" Find the people that want to buy your product, then go build it. You can even pre-charge, like Kickstarter.com. I got buddies. Shout out to Jeff Chin, Andrew Nerger, board game designers, right? They go on Kickstarter. They play test these board games with me and a bunch of other people. You know, I've been with them. I've been friends with them for a decade now, and I've helped them pretty much from the beginning, from the first board game. I'm actually in their first board game as a character, which is crazy.
Eh,
Um, but
that's
dude,
cool.
so they build these board games. They build a concept. They go to Kickstarter with a video, the concept. like, right, like all this stuff, and they say, "Give me money for this," and now they have a reputation, so people are like all over it, right? They're like, "Oh, this company is going to be, they're going to put out another masterpiece."
Wait.
So
So there's no product. So they don't have a product. They just have a concept. They
No
have an
it's,
product, just
manifesto. And it's
have you ever been to Kickstarter.com?
yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that's the idea, is that they have a product. They have like one working product. Either it's physical or sometimes it's online. Like there's a board game arena and tabletop simulator. So they build a lot in tabletop simulator, especially during COVID, right? So we game all the time online, and so they'll go to Kickstarter with a like, I was in a couple of their commercials, right? So like their first one, they had a commercial, and then they had the physical product, but like one physical product, and then they collect money and they go build it. They have a distributor, they have board game manufacturers, they have all this stuff, and so now they already know, hey, we made 35% profit. The rest goes towards construction. We can start working on our next product, right? So the idea here is stop building and go find a customer, go find 2 customers, go find 5 people that are willing to pay you money for a solution, and then go do it. And HighLevel makes it really easy, right? All the solutions are already built. You don't have to build the software. So, yeah, I like
And
that.
if you're brand new to high level, you may have not heard of this, but you will at some point. And this thing called skateboard method. And
yes.
we love high level for it.
Let's just
It's
call it the Sean Clark method. They
Sean
should
Clark method. I mean, it's if I can do it a good justice, it's basically like if you're trying to get from point A to point B in the quickest way, you're not gonna go in a warehouse and start building a freaking Rolls Royce, right? Just like go and maybe look in your shed and just pick up a pair of wheels and put a desk on. And you got a skateboard and go. And that's your first version, right? Version 1. And you go over that, you get feedback, and then you iterate. And that's how like exactly what you say. Like it's the quickest way to get out of the market. And even if you, like you said, like was it PowerPoint? Like you go with a PowerPoint, you're speaking to people, get your first customers, even if they don't buy, they will tell you something. They give you some feedback, right? And so you take
Mhm.
that back in. Now you're developing. Um, it's a big
Amen.
one.
So, hey, we got one more question for Serge.
Okay, let's hear it.
Vit, you want to take this last one, bro?
Yeah, sure. So Serge, you've been with high level for a while,
Mhm.
and we've been talking about some technical stuff. But if there's somebody right now, somebody listening right now, and they're at ground zero, they may have just started an agency. They're potentially considering high level. What advice would you give them?
Okay. Um, hmm. Okay, so the first thing that I would say is ask yourself, why am I doing this? Am I doing this for the right reasons? Am I starting something up for the right reasons? Or am I doing it like, am I going to find fulfillment in building an agency and helping other people? If
Cash money,
the answer to
baby.
that
No,
is
it's just
not, you're likely not built for it. You likely would be better doing something else. If the answer is fuck yes, what even is that question? Then you're on the right path. Um, find a small group of people that have a problem. If they've tried other things before that didn't work, then the better, because they're already in a mindset where they'll invest time, effort, and or money to solving that problem, and get them to say, yes, I'll give you some money if you can solve this problem for me. Whenever I've done this in the past, we first did it in college with a bunch of students, and we built something for a bunch of students in my year. Then we did it internally at a company that I work for, and built an internal tool and started by doing this. Hey, would this thing help you? We did it then I did it again when we started building Charity and got 7 or 8 people to say, yeah, I'm going to pay you $79 a month if you give me something that solved this problem. And back then it was team communication. And then we did it again in Charity when we pivoted to what Charity is today. Right? So Step one, make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons. Step two, go and find a group of people, 4, 5 people who will give you money before you even build anything. And then use that money that they'll give you to start delivering value to them as soon as possible. The good thing about HighLevel is it only takes them buying for HighLevel to create the location. There's a set of business features that are in every SaaS mode account that HighLevel creates. Business messaging, email, phone,
Social
that's
posting, stuff
social
like that.
posting. There's some things that HighLevel's not gonna let you take out. They're always gonna be on. So that can be your MVP to people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Without having to build anything. Just go find somebody who will give you. Uh, I think they're changing the minimum advertised policy, but as long as you're not advertising publicly, if you can find people who will give you $49 a month, do it. And
Yep.
then once you have 5, 6 people, look up who they are, what they're doing, how they're getting value, and leverage their feedback and their testimonials to go and find more people who look like them. Don't worry about a niche. Pick a few customers, keep the most successful ones, and that's your niche.
I love it. If I may
Yeah, man.
top that message in a different sense as well, like,
Mhm.
or to strengthen it even more, is like you said, just find people and get them to give you money on a concept that you haven't even built. If you guys are listening to this and you're like, there's no way I'm not a sell, like, how do I do that? Well, let's go back to step one. Like, make sure you're doing it for the right reasons, right? And if you're doing it for the right reasons, that means you're excited about doing it. And so if you're excited about what you are wanting to do, when you do talk to those people, just, again, I said at the beginning of the podcast, when you're excited about stuff, when you love what the opportunities that you could do, people, it's kind of like this energy, it's transferable. Like, it's, people feel it. People will stick to you. They will buy into you and they will give you money.
Yeah, not to toot my own horn here, guys, but I'm a terrible salesperson, and that's what I have going for me. I just bring my energy. I am this like ball of caffeine and like excitement on calls, and I ramble. I literally apologize to customers like, "I'm so sorry I rambled." Yesterday, I was doing the same thing. He's like, "No, no, no, it's cool. Like, I learned a lot," you know? And at Level Up, somebody that we were talking to is like, "Dude, you always bring the energy." And I'm just like, "This shit is so awesome." Like everything I feel like
Yeah.
everything I'm doing, like, sure, you get up, you get tired, you're tired in the morning, you don't want to work, but then you get on a call with somebody, you start doing something you actually enjoy doing as a task or a project, and it just flips a script, right? So I couldn't agree with that more. I am not a salesperson. I I got my agency up past like 300,000 a year by myself, no VAs. I used to white label services, all paid ads, everything like that. Like for my customers, I did all cold calling. Just picked up the phone. I have a script. I used Scott Chanel. He does cold call scripting for enterprise companies. And literally, I just picked the phone and was like, "Oh, hey, how you doing? Who am I talking to? Oh, this is Mary. Oh, hey, Mary, it's Andrew. I was wondering, is there who can I speak to about marketing? Like, who can I speak to about your marketing service? Oh, that's John. All right, is there any way I can talk to John?" And literally, I did that about 50 times. I got 10 customers, and the rest, I just didn't sell. I just talked to people, and I had this energy, like, I can do this for you. I can help you out. So, I feel like a salesman because I made progress, but I'm not a salesman. I learned all these sales techniques. I'm like, I never did that once, ever. Right. So I
Here's
couldn't
the
agree
way
with you
that
more, dude.
here's the way that I see it. And I'm sure that some people will not fully agree with it. But
Mm,
if if you're
contrarian take. I love it. We got to have
oh,
like a little thing like boom, boom, boom,
I mean,
boom, like
I
contrarian
know
take.
I know this is gonna resonate with some people, so it's not like a tinfoil hat type of thing. Um,
No, no, no. It's just there's a spectrum, right? The contrarians and the
um,
status quo. Yeah.
the most enjoyable sales experience for somebody who's buying it, for somebody who's selling, is the the feeling that whoever's on the other side of it, when you're trying to buy something, where you're trying to solve a problem, their first goal is to understand where your problem is and to give you a solution. Right?
Mhm.
From my experience, and this is what I mean by doing it for the right reasons. I'll give you a couple examples. Um, my agency started out designing and printing and selling t-shirts, like graphic t-shirts. And then we started adding more physical media stuff. For the longest time, we didn't even sell HighLevel. As we started growing and hiring people, we started getting into scaling problems. We started getting into um, challenges with processes and scaling and delegating that we didn't have a solution for. We built solutions for that. We built processes for that. Now we turn around and deploy those processes for the customers that we have using HighLevel. And that is the bedrock, and it's a cornerstone of the way that we sell HighLevel. We're not going out and trying to reach the biggest audience possible. We're handpicking the customers that we want to work with, because each new customer that we bring on adds a ton of leverage to what we're doing. And we know for sure that the things that we're selling to them, the services that we're providing, and we're making money off of it, of course, but we know that we're going to make an impact in their business. So
Yeah.
that's the right
Yep.
reason for us, right? So
Right.
that's a
What you
good
said.
way. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say what you said is super important. That helping them find a solution is why you're on that call. Your solution might be the solution, but there's so we talked about Lenny's podcast, and in Lenny's
Mhm.
podcast, April Dunford was on it. I read April Dunford's positioning book a year ago. Didn't
Uh-huh.
realize it. Dan Martell referred it right to his community, his students, and then that's where I realized I knew April Dunford. So I bought her new book, but that Lenny's podcast, she talks about being a buyer of software, especially in enterprise scenarios, is harder than being a seller, because the downfall of a failed purchase for you, whether you're a manager or whatever you are in that organization, could be getting fired, losing your job if you bought the wrong software, right? It could cause disastrous effects. So helping that person come to a solution is the goal, whether it's making them feel better, so most people in the agency industry, and this is coming from a lot of that, like, Dan Henry crazy discount funnel, like just sell, sell, sell kind of thing, and the one call close bullshit, where thumbs up. It's like the high pressure sales, you're gonna get so much churn, and you're gonna get people that either make the wrong decision or they don't make a decision because they're too afraid to make a decision because there's too much risk. Right? So, yeah, and by the way, pitch to April Dunford, if you guys want her new book, Sales Pitch, fantastic. That's where all of this, the entire framework is in there. So
Well,
yeah,
I
here's
love
some
that's
it.
perspective on that. It doesn't only apply in high-end enterprise sales. When you look at the
oh,
bottom of
no.
the
Yeah.
market and you're working with small businesses, especially small businesses where it's one or two owners and they're not super tech savvy, you have the same thing, except this time they could lose their business if they make a wrong decision.
Yeah.
So buying is super stressful
Or just
for
cause
small business owners.
disaster. Like we talked about building a bridge, like, you could literally cause so much turmoil in a small business, right? Like, that it just why why would they make that decision now? You have to help them.
So I think this is going to be a really good segue into the next segment. After the next segment, where we're going to focus on one specific strategy. Um, I'm not going to go into it now, but stay tuned. In about 30 minutes, maybe less, we'll delve into that. Now,
We're
speaking
good.
of
Well,
sales,
we got our geek out segment coming up.
yeah, we got a geek out segment. But before we get to that one, just speaking on the word of sales, put you in the spot there, Sergio. 30
Okay.
seconds. Pitch your offer.
Okay. So here's the pitch. Um, if you're starting out, like I've mentioned, you're doing this method of going and finding a group of people for whom you can deliver results and solve a problem. You need things, you need services. You're going to need services that can get them quick results. The base layer of services in HighLevel is great for that. Chat Issue is a great companion for that. So Chat Issue can help you build custom journeys on the websites of your customers to get people to stay longer on the websites and to get people to take the calls to action that matter to them in that moment. There's an on-ramp in how much it costs. You can even start for free right now. So it's a great companion for that initial journey. But it's also built in a way that it grows with you and it lets you deliver more value as you need more things out of it. So it's a great way to start out an agency. It's a great way to bring additional value that doesn't require human labor to scale the value that you're providing to customers. So that's my pitch. Go check out chatissue.io, and it's gonna help you both if you're starting out or if you're already established and you just want to scale the value that you're delivering to customers and the revenue you're getting from it.
Yeah.
As somebody that is, is outsider here, I would like to just tap into this because I do love what you guys do and what you showed me at Level Up, Andrew. That was mind blowing. I think that's a really an excellent way to actually pitch. I mean, there's also already a free prospecting tool in HighLevel, right? You can kind of bundle that together with what you've got. Would you mind just sharing really quickly what we're talking about here, Andrew?
Yeah, sure, man. Yeah. First of all, I just want to touch on, this is a weird situation because I'm also co-founder of Chat HQ. So Sergio is my co-founder and partner. So his pitch is kind of my pitch. It's not always going to be like that on this podcast, right? But if you are a high-level agency as well, like marketing agency, it fits into that same mold. So like we're trying to talk to SaaS agencies, and that's where Sergio is coming from there. But if you're a high-level agency, if you're just selling marketing services, if you have a website, Chat HQ is your go-to, right? Like you just throw it on your website, do your thing. So there's a lot of benefits there. So to answer your question, Vit, Chat HQ, I can actually show, well, we're not going to go into the showing, obviously, because there's an audio side of this podcast. But the idea here is that we took a generic chat widget. Like if you think about what a chat widget is, it's an element, it's an object that goes on a website or inside of a software application, and it pops up and you can chat and you can chat with somebody on the other side, right? So what we did was we said, there's got to be more to this. And there's got to be things that people can do with this that aren't just chat. So we created this like structure that almost resembles Linktree. Okay. And within that structure, we created tools. We call them conversion tools. And those conversion tools can be things like forms and surveys, calendars, links to other pages, chat, some sort of SMS or live chat, uh, iframes, like all kinds of different tools that you can build these Linktree like structures inside that web chat frame. So it's not just a typical web chat. And then what we did was we said, okay, we need people to click this. We need people to like bring this into reality because now not everyone's going to click that little button in the bottom right corner. So we created dynamic pop-ups. We call them today targeted prompts, but we're changing that to smart pop-ups. So what we're doing is we're giving you the ability to create these journeys, these customer journeys on websites and within applications for customer success and support. So you can interject, you can get in front of people and engage with them at the right time with the right content to get them to take action. Right. And so like whether they're on this page or on this page and they're going and they're scrolling down or whatever they're doing, you can jump in there with different formats of pop-ups and talk to them and speak to them directly with a call to action, with rich media, with like video content. So we're just creating this all around engagement system, whether it's engagement for sales, engagement for support, or engagement for success. We're giving you all the tools at your fingertips to engage with the people that you need to engage with the message and the call to action that you need to engage them with.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Awesome. All right. So now, well, thank you so much, Serge, for sharing. It's been really insightful. And now, for those of you guys listening, we know about you. Don't worry. It's not just three us talking here in the room. We're doing it for you. And I know you're listening right now. If you're listening right now, we appreciate you. And now it's time to move over into the next segment, which we're super excited about. And the segment is called weekly geek out segment. So when we were designing the episode structure, me and Andrew, we decided we like kind of like wanting to provide you a lot of value, right? We really like the Joe Rogan style, which is the interview bit, done it, just done it. But we wanted to segment things out a little bit as well afterwards, which is going to be a little bit more specific, a little bit more short and snappy. So this next segment is called the Weekly Geek Out segment. If you've been a high level for a while, you know, typically, you know, the old classic, Sean coming at you. And if you're somebody like me who loves this shit, this is your day, this is your morning, you know, coffee news. You know, I mean, for me anyway. Like since I've been with high level the last 2 years, first thing in the morning, I'll look up, you know, go in a group and I'll look up, you know, pinned post by Sean coming at you. And I just, you know, I just gotta absorb this new latest and greatest and dive into it. So here we go.
Welcome back, fellow data wizards and automation aficionados, to the weekly GHL Geek Out segment, your one-stop pixel potion for the freshest Go High Level updates, where we dissect every byte and bit with a dash of digital delight.
So Andrew, me and you have been looking up some topics for this segment today. What do we got?
Yeah, I got a couple specifically because Serge is here, because he is a master wizard developer. And so a lot of people kind of glaze over the development side. I'm always going to talk you up, bro. Come on now. You're good at what you
Hey,
do.
I
Right?
appreciate it.
You're my brother. So no, but seriously, like people glaze over the development side. So something that I kind of come across as an agency owner going into software now, I didn't know half the things I know now, like then, about development, right? So, not even close half, like 90%. But with that, when people post, like Sean posts or anyone else posts about development stuff, people just they don't care. They don't understand it. They don't go. So what I want to do is I wanted to shed light on two things. Well, we got a couple more, but like two things that Sergio can really help shed light on that are in the Geek Out section segment today. So the first one is developer API updates, support for external authentication, and webhook configuration. So this one I know is super, super near and dear to us at Chat HQ. And Sergio, I'm sure you have a lot to say about this one. So tell us more about like what is external authentication and webhook configuration in terms of like what they just updated here in HighLevel.
Right. So to make it a bit more accessible to people who may not be software engineers, when you think about APIs and webhooks, or when you hear APIs and webhooks, what that means at its core, and I'm just Eli 5, right? Explain like I'm 5. What it means at its core is there are now ways in which you can have software that is running outside of HighLevel. That can be your own SaaS, or it can be some other software as a service that you're buying to subscribing to talk to HighLevel, to send data in and out of HighLevel, to achieve composability between different systems. And why is that important? Because it's rare that HighLevel is going to be 100% of the software technology stack that you or your customer are going to use. So by letting HighLevel as a platform talk to other systems, you can bridge the gap and provide joint value between HighLevel and that other system or that other process. So webhook and external authentication means that you now can safely send information over from HighLevel, or you can safely bring features from another application into HighLevel by authorizing and authenticating the user, or authenticating and authorizing the user on an external system. So let's say you have,
Yeah, I was gonna say, give us an example. That'd be
Yeah.
a perfect. Yeah.
So let's say you're using Google Workspace, right? And you're using Google Drive, you're using Google Meet, you're using Gmail, for example, right? HighLevel does this under the hood, and they've done it for the longest time. Now with this new releases, you have the ability to do integration and authentication to your Google workspace that HighLevel didn't expose before. So now you can go and do things that HighLevel didn't do for you. And you can go and build integrations or connect systems in a way that is specific to your business or your customer's business.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So I'm gonna jump in really quick, Serge. So for example, if you're listening to this and you're confused at what he's talking about, so when you integrate Google, so you go to the integration section of the settings and you connect your Google account, that's what's called OAuth, like authentication, right? You're authenticating your Google account with HighLevel. It's bringing data in from your Google account, things like calendars, emails, whatever, right? So even if, like, let's use an example search outside of Google, right? So this authentication webhook process, let's say, for example, somebody, like you said earlier, Mind and Body or Service Titan or
right.
something of that sort, right? You have some sort of external product or service or platform, and you're
Mhm.
bringing data in from that platform. You're trying to authenticate that data
Yeah.
using HighLevel.
So here's a simpler way to look at it. Authentication means is the user who's trying to use the software who they say they are. Like when
Yeah.
you go to a website and you put your email and your password in, you're proving to that software, to that server, that you control that account because the keys into that account are your email and password. Or if you do two-factor authentication, like you get an SMS or you get an email or you're using an authenticator application, you're giving them proof that you are who you say you are because you are giving information that proves that you control some other system that only you could control. So that unequivocally proves your identity. It authenticates who you are.
Is that like when you go to McDonald's and you make an order and then you want to pick it up, they need to see the receipt?
Yeah.
Kinda, yeah.
Or where you
To
walk out of
McDonald's, you
Walmart or Costco, they're looking at, hey, did you pay for this? Right. So that's authentication, right? And then authorization refers to, okay, we know who you are and you're allowed in here, but you're not allowed in the VIP, or you're not allowed to do these things in this fine establishment, right? So depending on who you are, the permissions that you have, you're allowed to do things, you're allowed to access information, you're allowed to use functionality. External authentication means that now it no longer has to be high level, the system of record of who's who and what they can do. Now your external system can drive that authentication process and to some extent that authorization
nice.
process. So when you work with companies that have, especially if you're going more into the enterprise, you're likely gonna find customers who already have infrastructure set in place to authenticate the users and to authorize what they can do in their platforms. So this goes back to eliminating friction. It is now possible to bring functionality from those systems into HighLevel and not have to have HighLevel record information about who they are and what they can do. That information can come with them from the external system.
Right. Hey,
So what's good
alright,
about that is that keeps the, like, when it comes to data privacy, law, is that what is good about it? Is that like some user have given permission for the data in that system, so that's why HighLevel doesn't have to store it. It keeps it a bit more safe. Or
There's all sort of reasons why this is a big deal. That's definitely one of them. But I would say the biggest one right now is it eliminates friction and it helps you not disrupt the business processes of your customers. You now have a
Mhm.
seamless path to integrate things that they had been doing before they met you or they decided to use your agency and your software and your services, right? So
okay.
that's the biggest one. It makes it easier for you to sell because you're not disrupting business processes.
So where do webhooks fall into? Is webhook kind of like a younger cousin that's kind of like, yeah, it kind of helps you move data across, but it's less safe?
So webhooks are the opposite direction of APIs. They're one and the same type of thing. They're ways by which two pieces of software can communicate with each other. When you think about APIs, for example, HighLevel has an API that you can write software to go and use, or you can You can use Zapier, make/Integromat or Poppy, whatever. You're actively sending or requesting information from HighLevel. So your application, when you're consuming an API, your application, your external system is driving that interaction. Webhooks are the other way around. You tell the system, hey, I would like to be notified when so-and-so, such and such thing happens inside. And then whenever, for example, a contact is tagged with a specific tag, you can send a notification out from HighLevel and then have that information be available in your external system to do something else, some other business process, right? For example, send them a postcard if you want, or add a customer record, or update an order in your e-commerce. Many things. Add a task in your project or your task management system for your team to go and fulfill, right? So if you're initiating the communication, you're using an API, you're driving the communication. If HighLevel's initiating it, then that's a webhook. HighLevel's sending you a web. It's a web hook. So this comes from the merge of two words, webhook. Web is just means is sent over the internet. It's a web scale, web technology, the interweb, the internet. That's what web means. And hook is it's a reference to points along a process where you can hook additional functionality or additional processes in.
So if I dumb it down, like if I say it like in a really stupid way, but like when I was a kid, I used to go like fishing by the lake. Is it like I put a piece of bread that would be like representative of a data, and I would give that data to a little fish out there.
So
Catch that fish.
maybe, yeah. So think about it this way: when you call customer support, you're initiating the communication, and you have a problem that needs to be solved, or you have something that you want to do. When customer support says, "Hey, would you like to get a call back at some other time? We have an hour wait. Would you like to get a call back?" And you tell them, "Yes, I'm interested in getting feedback on this matter. This is my phone number. Call me tomorrow at 9 a.m. with information about this matter." You initiating the communication with customer support, that's the analogous of an API. You're driving the communication. Customer support calling you back with additional information that was not available at that point, but is now available. That is a webhook. So webhooks
I guess
are
a good
callbacks for systems.
So we don't get too far into the weeds here. I guess a good example using HighLevel would be if you go to HighLevel's API documentation, you're basically saying to HighLevel, how do I request things out of your system? How do I initiate this to get or put in data? One or the other, get or put. There's other things, but like I want to either pull data out, I want to put data into HighLevel, and I'm initiating it. Now, if HighLevel is the basis for the data, meaning I'm sending data out of HighLevel, or I'm using something like Zapier, you can just use webhooks and Zapier. That's where that's where like the webhook would come in. So I'm running a workflow. All that data in the workflow needs to go somewhere else. So I use a webhook step in the action, the workflow, and it sends the data out. Or I start a workflow with a webhook. The webhook comes in from Zapier and has a bunch of data in the webhook, and it does a bunch of things in that workflow, right? But if I'm just like building things that connect to HighLevel, not including the workflows, like I'm sending data in or I'm pulling data out via the API, that's you initiating it. So I think that's kind of layman's terms, like if people are actually building in HighLevel, but a lot of people probably don't even know that those webhook steps exist. They just run marketing campaigns, they do calls, emails, texts, all that stuff. So, webhooks are incredibly powerful tools. And so thanks, Sergio. We appreciate that. Well, if you guys are interested, like you're listening to this, Sergio is an incredible resource for anything development in terms of HighLevel, like outside HighLevel too. But if you have questions for HighLevel development, he's in the developer console meetings every month, and then in the developer Slack. He is in obviously the Facebook group. So if you have any questions, reach out. Try not to take too much of his time because Chat HQ needs him, but he is definitely a good resource.
Yeah, just volunteered me.
But yes, I know. I shipped you out to people.
I'll be the first one to reach out, Sergio, because I mean, my background is, fitness. Over the last 10 years, been in the fitness industry, every single role you can imagine, from being a personal trainer to managing gyms and whatnot. I now focus on helping gyms with my agency, right? And one of the big ones. So you mentioned the word mind body. I know mind body very well. I've used it before. Um, it's got it's good, but it's also got its setbacks or shortcomings. So with API, what you're basically saying is what I could now offer to potential clients is like, because we know high level is awesome for be able to offer clients how they capture leads, nurture, and close. But if I want to do a bit of a like some unique follow up campaign, I know there's some campaigns, some basic campaigns in mind, buddy. But like if I wanted to be really nuanced and say what I can offer your gym is any member that have just smashed their like a workout, I want that information to be pulled into high level so that I can keep a record of total workouts they do and then do
Right.
some more nuanced workflows based on that.
Right. So the key is who knows which system is it that knows when that thing happens. And then in this case, if you have a checkout and you have that information being provided to MindBody, or you have data being provided to MindBody as it happens, high level's not aware of that.
Right.
So setting up something within MindBody to send a notification out, that is a webhook because it is hooking into a process that is happening and running something in another place that depends on it. It doesn't
So it's
interrupt
still
that process, right? It does not interrupt that process. It's a way to do something else on another place when specifically this event or this action happens.
all right. I need to explore
I
this
love
bit
that.
more. This
Yeah.
is a geek out segment. I don't feel geeked out enough on this. I need to
Well,
understand this a bit more.
here's another geeky topic here. They just dropped array functions in workflow. It's a workflow
Yes.
premium action, so it's an array function. So let me pull this up on my screen here. Let's see, workflow functions. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, I can. A widescreen,
Okay.
blank, but
Oh,
it's probably loading. There it
yeah, it's
is. There
probably
we
loading.
go. Yep, that's
Okay.
cool.
So they have these array functions. Sorry, I accidentally clicked the screen. It looks like these images are clickable. I don't know why. You can see them pretty well. So array functions. So Sergio, walk us through array functions so that we understand what the hell these are. Because like if you look at the examples, for this one would be like action type find, and then we're finding an item, which is a Shopify item. It's line items. Then we need like a key and a value, and the key would be like ID or price or quantity, and the value would
Yep,
be
Yeah.
whatever.
you're
Right?
losing me here.
So I'll give you the
No.
example because I understand what they're saying here, and Sergio can get into like the details. But essentially, if you have, let's say, this example is Shopify. So you're trying to see, it says like in the below example, you're using a Shopify order placed trigger, checking if the product ID matches. So essentially what you're doing is you're saying, we need to find the line item. And then this key field, we're going to go to ID, and the value here is going to match the value of the product ID that we're checking to see if was purchased, right? And this could be like a necklace or a pair of shoes or whatever you're selling. And
Mhm.
this step is identifying data that normally wouldn't be identifiable other than using this array function and saying, we need to find this data and make sure that this is the product that was purchased. Does that make sense? And then Sergio, obviously the array functions, like I don't fully understand them. So you're going to have to really geek out with us here and let us know what the hell that means. But I can figure it out from what they're showing here. Just like
Mhm.
I'm intuitively I can figure that out, but I don't know exactly what array functions are. Right.
Okay. So arrays are software speak for lists of things. So a bunch of things that are organized in one after the other. And this is important because for example, in e-commerce, you saw it in Shopify. You also see it in when you get webhooks from Stripe that tell you that a subscription was created or a payment was made. A bunch of times you're gonna have one or more than one item in a payment, for example. For the longest time inside a high level, you could not handle data that contained lists within it. So, for example, if you get an event from Stripe, and that event says, "Hey, payment processed successfully. Here's the list of the line items in this order," and there's 3 line items, you couldn't reach into that list of items and fish out, for example, the name and the price of each of them, because high level workflows couldn't handle lists of things in data. So what this new release does is it gives high level workflows the ability to handle lists of things, and you can pull out specific information about items in that list. So the base case for a list is a list of uh, text strings. So a list of names or a list of phone numbers, a list of emails, where you have a list and each item in the list is just the email or just the name. But what's more common in practice is that you have lists of little blocks of data that in software we call objects. So you have a list of contact records, for example, or you have a list of line items in an e-commerce or a payment processing type of events, or you have a list of um, interaction events on a website where you have clicked this item and viewed this content and expanded this funnel. So you can have a list of events where each of the items in that list have more information about it than just one name or one single piece of content. What this release does, it lets high level process lists of items, but also reach into those lists of items and bring out specific pieces of information that you can then use in further steps down the line in that work. So it's really, really powerful and adds some functionality that had been missing from workflows. And it's going to make it a lot easier to interact with. For example, like a big use case is e-commerce and payment process.
So let me get this. Let me see if I got it right. If I'm trying to create a workflow and do put a basic if else look up if else branches, and I could have does it have this tag or does it have this tag or does it have this tag? I would have to have those tags pre-configured already, right? Now, what you're saying and what the way I understand is I could do if else, but instead of using tags, I could do it based on lookup, based on an array
Based on the
particular
actual
thing.
data in the event.
Right.
So like, for
Right.
example, here's a couple that you might consider doing. Only continue down this branch if the total number of items in the list of items in the order is 3 or more. Or only continue down this other branch. These 2 specific products are present in the list of line items. Like if you're sending, for example, if you're sending a congratulations or a thank you message to people who bought 2 items together, and you're adding a promo, or you're giving them a rebate, or you're giving them access
Right.
to something else. They bought 2 products, but they have to buy 2 of the 2 at the same time. You can now do
So here's where
like that.
So here's where I think this can be really helpful, and now I understand exactly. So thanks for clarifying that, because I mean this is a bit more techie stuff, and I mean I love tech stuff, but what I think this is really powerful when it comes to personalization. I mean, I don't know if you
Yes.
guys know Kristen Rushman. She's a legend when it comes to email marketing and getting emails into an inbox. But there's obviously a technical side on that front. But the big one is behavioral, right? That's a
Mhm.
big thing. Behavioral emails. What does that mean? Is like sending emails based on behavior of your subscribers and their preferences, right? So you could essentially, in this example, you could do a campaign, look up based on the colors of a t-shirt. So look up people that like this brown t-shirt and then tag them. All right. And then when you
So
do the next
yeah, so sorry to interrupt. One thing I think we have to clarify is this only available or not available, but only like usable or applicable if the intro trigger to the workflow is a webhook? Because
okay,
that's
yeah.
when all that data, because I'm looking it up
Not
now, right?
necessarily. Not
Okay.
necessarily, but the thing is, for the longest time, because high level didn't support this, they didn't have, and they didn't let you create pieces of data inside customer records that were arrays, that were lists. The one exception being maybe tags. But this paves the way for other more complex data inside a HighLevel. So even if with this supported, so that would probably be a good way to test it. Test with
I'm kind of
a list
testing
of
it
tags.
now. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's I can share my screen here, but it doesn't look like there's options when you click on the array action
Mhm.
unless there's data available from the trigger.
Just
There
similar
may
to
be
webhooks.
similar to webhooks, but there may be data that I'm not seeing, like because I'm not testing this workflow. But let's say, for example, it was a video tracking trigger, right? And let's say the filters I select are, I don't know, whatever the video tracking filters are, like in funnel or video duration percentage greater than, I don't know, 50. Okay. So if I save that trigger and that trigger happens, that means some data is coming into that workflow no matter what. So I think that at that point, then the array function will allow me to select something, maybe, or maybe it needs an inbound webhook because then the data you have to test the inbound webhook trigger. So I'll actually share my screen. I'll show people what that looks like really quick, because that's something that I learned and something that's not. Let
I
me
I
show everybody.
haven't I haven't gone super deep into it. But one thing that I do know is when you're building a custom action in a high level application, for example, you're building a custom action to integrate with another system, but you do something else. Um, if you return an array if you give back in your response, if you give high level back a list of things, like a list of objects, for example, there's no it was not possible to use that data in the next steps in the workflow
Right.
because high level didn't
Now it
have the
is.
ability to work with lists. Now high level has the ability to work with lists. So, and I know
Mhm.
that it's a premium action, but this paves the way for you bringing other data from external systems that are lists of things, and then using those lists of things
Yeah.
downstream in your workflow automations.
Right. So here's the inbound webhook. Right. So essentially, what you do is when you go into triggers, you say, "Hey, high level, I want to start this workflow with an inbound webhook." What that means is if I have a Zap or some other system that can catch data from a webhook or send data to a webhook URL, I would take this URL. Okay, for example, Zapier. Right, I would take this URL, I'd paste it into Zapier, and I would click Test Webhook. Okay, so any data that's coming from the previous Zaps would then get sent to this webhook. And then in this mapping reference, I would check for new requests and I would have data within this test. Okay. So once I have that data, then I can click save trigger. And obviously, see, it says a mapping reference is required to save this. So I can't do that. But that's what my understanding is here is if I have that data that exists within this workflow, then I can go into array functions here and I have the find action and then I will have options here. That's what I'm understanding. But again, this is brand new and we're all geeking out here, but I still
It's
have
almost
yet
like
to
a it's
test
almost
this.
like a variation to an if else conditions where you use an array as opposed to an if else for this in a way.
That's certainly one way you
Not
can use it. Yes. But you
yeah.
can also, for example, maybe not right now. And what are the other action types?
There's no other actions, just find.
Okay. So
Yeah, so the difference I see from if else, sorry to interrupt, but like this would be more like, hey, high level, this is the set of data I want, like Sergio said, to use later. So like we're just
mhm,
establishing that like this is a group of data that we want to then be able to select later, like in an FL statement. So like if we use this function and we say find all of the product IDs that were purchased. So every single product ID is going to be the field. So it'll be like product ID. And then later, when we go into an if else, so if we go down here to if else, we'll be able to say branch is, and it'll probably have array functions, and it'll say array functions is product ID blank or something like that. Right. So what you're doing is you're establishing a new set of data so that you could use it later in the workflow. Does that make
yeah.
sense?
And yes, and
That
they will probably expand on that. So today you're fishing out or pulling out specific pieces of information.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but I feel geeked out now. I think we move on to the next segment. So, guys, this next segment I'm super excited about. This is, if you're not nerds and this wasn't too exciting for you, well, this next one it might be more exciting from that front. We calling it move the needle segment, right? And what it is, it's simply focusing on one specific strategy to help you help you and your agency move the needle forward. What does I mean? Well, especially specifically with sales, right? And other things, but sales is a big one, right? It might be some efficiency related topics in that next time, but today I'm excited to actually host this one myself because I've just tested it this last week and it worked really well. What I'm talking about is a strategy how you can generate SaaS customers. Let's get into it.
Strap in, entrepreneurs and growth gurus, for our Move the Needle segment, where we zoom in on one game-changing strategy, tactic, or tool designed to turbocharge your business trajectory, high-level style.
They say money can't buy happiness. Look at the fucking smile on my face.
So, my SaaS journey, it's a newer one. I've been developing a lot. My thing is building premium snapshots. Initially, I built them for myself. Started offering them to other agencies as well. You'll probably hear now later on in this episode about it. But I am now at the stage where I'm actually really actively marketing for SaaS, and I was looking at some of the options, what I could do, advertise, cold email, things like that. But one that really stood out for me, and it was really obvious as well, is I already had established relationships with people in the industry, in the fitness industry specifically, because that's my background. One of my mates, he has a very successful martial arts club, and I actually for a while have been thinking that would be my first niche I would go into. Right, it's a really tough niche. Generally, martial artists don't really have that much money. Most of them have a bit of a hobby. They kick off their own martial art clubs themselves, and they might even coach in their own club. And so, anyway, that's usually not that much money. So I was looking at, well, how do I help these guys? And how do I get them to buy? Right. And so what we did is I got together with my mate and I said, look, let's do a webinar. He actually just happened to launch his consulting side where he actually provides a business coaching to martial artists, right? So he already has been doing it for the last 6 months. He's been, building his brand, his personal brand. He's been reaching out to martial artists. He's been, selling them consulting, and he's got a higher program. But it's all strategy. It's all consultative, right? But the point being is he already has a list. Now, I don't really have a list of martial artists, right? So I was like, straight away, well, that's the leverage. We already have a relationship. He already knows what I do. He's my customer. I forgot to mention that. He's a customer of mine, so he knows what I do on my white label, version of HighLevel. He's, what I've been doing for him that he loves. And so we decided, let's do a webinar together. We'll do it. We'll co-host it. We'll chip in both of us for for the efforts to market it. We'll chip in both of us for for the effort on labor where I put the and we run it. We didn't really get that many martial artists sign up because it was a really short time frame. I got back from HighLevel from Dallas. We literally had about a week. So we had about a week to promote it. We had about 11 to RSVP to sign up for it. We had about 5 or 6, can't remember, turn up. And it was obviously a specific topic. In this case, it was a topic on how we can get your martial art clubs, get 50 new students by the time it gets to February, give you a strong start to the new year so you get new students into your club. So we covered it. I covered the software side. He covered the strategy side. We had some really poppy slides going on. And here's what worked. And here's why I'm sharing it is I could have just easily at the end just pitch my SaaS and just get them on as a customer, right? To buy. But instead, what we did is, and I mean, that could have been successful to a certain extent, but I already kind of felt like I might not get that many signups. I might have to put a bit of a middle step into that funnel. And so what we decided to do is we're going to run a challenge. So we did a 3-week challenge. We actually just kicked it off this week, where we would say, you pay a smaller amount, $200. And that's going to cover you for the challenge for the 3 weeks. The challenges are going to include a weekly tactical call with me on Mondays, more like an implementation call. So you get 3 of those. On Wednesday, it's going to cover strategy with Tom, with the partner, and you get a 30-day free trial to my software. So we had 5 turn up for the webinar, 2 sign up for the challenge, which is, what is that, 40% conversion? I think that's
That's
pretty
great,
good.
man. That's pretty
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
So whilst the volume wasn't there, the conversion is decent. So I mean, we'll see with higher volume what the average is out, but I'm thinking it could work really well. And now I already have, we kicked it off. I had my tactical call on Monday. The way I structured it is, showing them how to do the setup. So it's not done for you. I'm doing it with you, but the main thing is I'm building rapport. So I get them on these
Right.
calls. Now I've built my community inside my HighLevel. They're already in there. And I know that when the 30 days kicks in, they'll automatically flip into a plan, right? And they already know it. I've been transparent about it. This is how much it's going to cost you. Now I charge on my plan is $297, so I said $297 right after that. And the whole goal here over the next 21 days is just to move the needle in your business, set up some powerful things like build your own chatbot that can answer questions, potential parents looking at classes for their kids, things like that, little low hanging fruits that I can really help them. And it seems like it's working really well. And I already have one of those 2 guys actually emailing me back and saying, "Hey, how much would it be just to do it all for me? Instead of doing it with you, kind of thing."
Yeah.
So if you're out there, and I'm gonna wrap it up here because we already kind of stretching out, but if you're out there and you're looking at like all those posts in a group and then people sharing that, how many new SaaS members they've just signed up, and you'd be like, how did you do that? And you're lacking creativity or you don't know the blueprint. Where here's one. You could try this, and it was like,
You just got to do it. You just got to start.
just gotta
That's
do
what
it.
you
Yeah.
get 5 people, 40% conversion rate. Next one's going to be 10 people. You maintain that 40%. It's still 4 people, right? It's 4 new customers over and over and over.
Yeah.
Run paid ads to the webinar, right? You just keep rocking and rolling. So
Yeah. The main magic of this strategy, though, I would say, and I'm going to replicate it in my future ones when I'm ready to maybe dive into other niches that I'm not a subject matter expert, is I'll get people on my podcast, maybe this month or maybe the Success Inspired one as guests. If they're coaches, like I've got a coach as a sales coach for banking industry or finance, right? So he already has a massive base. Build a relationship with that person and say, "Hey, I do this, you do that. I think we can benefit if we do this thing together." And I don't have to do any ads, zero ads, and I'll just leverage off their already existing network.
Other people's
yeah,
networks.
build build affiliate market affiliate programs
Oh,
for your
yeah,
customers.
make sure they
bring
get a
them
good
into
kick.
your software.
Yeah.
Let them
Give them a
pay for their
kickback.
own software. Yeah. Let
Yep.
the affiliate commission pay for the software. So what's cool about this segment, by the way, Vit, is me and Sergio obviously run Chat HQ. We're also going to be doing a HighLevel SaaS to leverage how to sell Chat HQ as an intro. So we're going to have that as like a move the needle. You run high-level stuff. You have your own snapshot business. You're also doing high-level SaaS. So we're going to have a lot of use cases from all of our own personal experiences to bring to you guys. So if you're first-time high-levelers, or if you're just looking for new strategies, if you've hit some sort of plateau that you want to, kind of break through, right? We're also going to, the people that we have on this podcast are going to be a mixture of successful business people or successful high-level business people. Like if they're not outside of HighLevel and they're still successful business people, they've done it with HighLevel, or they're bringing in strategies to help you move the needle outside of HighLevel, like just business strategies, mindsets, processes, procedures, things like that. So I love this segment. It's got to be one of my favorite, honestly, even though we're doing like a Joe Rogan thing. This is one of my favorite because it gives people a reason to go, I really want to listen to what the hell Vit and Andrew are saying today, right? Like we're going to bring you guys something you could take and go test and go try to get success like Vit did on his webinar, right? Like just get some success, feel confident, and go do it again over and over and over until you start scaling. So
100%. And we're totally mindful of everyone's time. So the way we've engineered it is these are the segments, like the way we've engineered it is there are segments. So you can pick and choose which segments relates to you most. And there's going to be timestamps. You can click and then get straight into that segment and maybe listen to the other ones later on. So you have that flexibility there. Let's move on to the next one. This is the last one. We don't really have much for it, but we just wanted to give a bit of a announcement on this last one, and this is really exciting to me, and purely because this is about inspiring others. This is about the bigger picture, right? We call this 3 quick impact stories in under 3 minutes. So what this is we're going to give an opportunity to any agency out there that's using HighLevel and is making impact in the world. It's making impact on clients, not just their client's business, but the underlying lifestyle of the owner of that business. Maybe they have a family or whatever that is, but positive, inspiring stories of how you as an agency have helped a particular client and what was that impact. So we're going to give you guys an opportunity to submit because we want to keep it snappy, right? Otherwise we're going to rattle on or too long, right? So we're going to keep this snappy. You have an opportunity to submit a 60-second audio recording. We'll have a funnel for it later on. We'll advertise
Audio or video, right? Like if they want to do video, because we'll be on YouTube and Spotify and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, even better, right? Yeah. But if you're shy, audio is fine as well, right? But the idea is that you just do it in 60 seconds, keep it short, keep it snappy. It's not about you, it's about the client, and it's about what you did for them. And you get to, have a shout out of your agency name. Yeah, so keep an eye out on that. We're super excited about that. That's coming.
And that's pretty much it. So, we the last kind of bit is just like us, follow us, share this podcast. We need to make something very clear here. HighLevel probably won't let us promote ourselves in the community. So, if you want to share us in the community, share us with the people through HighLevel, through the HighLevel community. We want to bring as much value to you guys as possible. Having someone like Sergio on here, talking about development, talking about HighLevel, talking about his experience and his life is incredibly valuable to people, especially if they're starting off and they get to hear this person that has been through trials and tribulations and been through the ringer and still comes out the other side building and having, having success, like finding success. And then obviously me and Vit, we do this every day too. Like I work every day with Sergio and I do my own thing, and Vit's got his own businesses. So, if you have people that in the HighLevel community or people you're trying to get into the HighLevel community, we really believe that we're bringing a lot of value to you guys. And that's what this is all about. We're going to have advertisements, we're going to have pitches and things like that. But we need to make money too. We want to make sure that the value is the reason you're listening to the show, and everything else is just cake, right? Everything else is just something that we have to add in for ourselves. But we want to make sure that we walk away from this inspiring people, helping people. And if you think it's going to help other people, go ahead and like and share this. And I think that's kind of the only thing I have to say. Like Forrest Gump would say, that's all I got to say about that, right? So that should be our segment at the end. That'll be the last segment. That's all I got to say about that.
Well, I got to say thank you guys for having me. It's great. It's always great to get to geek out on the camera and to go deep on like technical stuff, but also business and life and resiliency. So thank you for the opportunity. Happy that I'm here.
Serge, while you're still here, man, tell people where they can find you.
Yeah. Okay. So I should probably have made that my name here in the the thing.
No. We'll post it in all the descriptions and everything.
So,
don't worry about it.
Here's where it becomes tricky. My username on all of the socials is, if you take the word Cuban and the word sandwich, you put them together and take the vowels out. So that is CBNSNDWCH. It's Cuban sandwich everywhere. So that's on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Twitter.
It's even like half of our. There's so many profile names for Chat HQ that are just Cuban sandwich, like our Vault for Bitwarden's Cuban sandwich, Vault or something like that.
Yeah.
Right, so that's a CBNSNDWCH, guys.
Yes. I try to keep things different.
And inspiration, man. I love your inspiration quotes. The quote cards. I love those.
Yeah. So those are all sound bites that I've taken out from songs that I like. So yeah, if you go to my Instagram, you're gonna see a bunch of quotes from songs that I think are powerful sound bites. So the search experience is different everywhere you go. So you can pick where to interact with me, depending on.
It's like Bernie. It's like Bernie Sanders' campaign. Feel the bird, feel the surge. There you go. Yeah.
Shit, you man.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being on, man.
Yes, sir.
Patient zero, bro. People are gonna ask. They're gonna ask, when did this all start? Like a virus. Patient zero. Sergio Leon.
100%. And thank you guys again for those of you listening. This has been really exciting and in the works for a while, and we are excited about this. And I hope that you are excited about this as well. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure you like, share, and what else you can do. Make sure you check out the website, highlevelexperience.com, where you can find show notes, links, anything else that we mentioned, anything that might be useful to you in your journey as a high leveler. We appreciate you, we value you, and thank you. Until
if-
next time.
If you want to be a guest, you can fill out the form on the website. And if you want to put your impact story on the show, you can also fill out a form on the website. Ooh, balloons. Look at that. I don't know how the
Balloons.
hell that happened.
I need
Look
to
at
learn
that.
hand
I know,
signal.
it's like a hand signal like this, a balloon hand signal. So yeah,
Yes.
we thank you so much for listening, guys. And if you want to be part of the show, you can find us at highlevelexperience.com. So thank you so much for listening to the very first episode. Serge, thank you so much for being here, man.
Happy to. Thank you guys for having me.
See you next week,
Yeah.
guys.